I know there's one that my mother used to talk to me about all the time, and that was never forget where you came from. No matter, all walks of life, no matter how far you travel in life, never forget where you came from. And I could tell you a quick story. Playing when I came out of high school, I was fortunate and blessed to have 60, 70 offers. Could have went anywhere I wanted, all American, all of this other nonsense. And I remember one of the writers coming to the house, doing an interview with my mother. He made the mistake and called me a superstar. You know, how's it feel to have a superstar, all American? And my mother, she said, superstar. Well, very proud of Eugene. Superstar, we don't believe in superstars in this house, you know. He still washes the dishes, does a poor job, but he still washes the dishes, makes his bed, takes the garbage out. No, the stars are in the sky. There are no superstars. Is he a good young man, and does he understand the opportunity that God blessed him with? Yeah, all of that, good. All American? Nah, we don't subscribe to that in this house. And it goes back to her premise of never forget where you came from. If you work hard, yeah, you deserve to have certain successes if you work for it. So I think out of everything she taught me, and God knows she taught me a lot, that would be, I think, my favorite, because people go, I mean, trust me when I tell you, in the music business, in the entertainment business, in the professional sports business, you see people who make millions and millions of dollars. But the biggest thing they forget where they came from. They start changing their social circle, which is the biggest mistake that you can make, because now you're not living based on your values and the way you were raised. You're now living off of, or somebody else's values, of what they expect you to be because you have all this money. And to me, that's when you start making those mistakes, because you start changing your social circle, and I think in essence, you start changing who you really are, and you do forget where you come from. I can walk anywhere in Jersey City, anywhere, without any problems, because I'm always here. When I traveled and when I toured on my book tour, I went to South Philly, Baltimore, some of the roughest areas around the country. Didn't have not one bit of problems. And the reason is, people can gravitate to me and I can gravitate to them because I didn't forget about growing up in the projects in Jersey City. So I can go to Detroit. I've been to Detroit. I've been to Watts, California. No problems. Because people know there's something about that guy that's real. They may not know me personally, but they get a vibe and they get a feel for when we sit down and start talking. There's something about him that's a little bit different. Yeah, it's because who I am is still who I am. You know, whether I was 15 or this 45-year-old man that you see sitting before you, I've never changed. I still have the same friends that I had when I was in grade school, the ones that made it. And then the ones through high school, I'm still best friends with my high school quarterback, Joe Spallner. We talk almost 2 or 3 times a week. So I think if you don't change who you are, then people aren't going to change. Those real people aren't going to change either. You meet someone that every day they have a different friend, there's a reason for that. You know, there's a reason for that.
Right. See, the one that I find most interesting is make your weakness your strong point.
Yes.
You know, what did you have in mind when you wrote
Yes. And I think people always work on their strengths. If you flip it and you work on what your greatest weakness is, that tends to make your strong points even stronger. So, for instance, I used to hate to run. Believe it, I was a running back, but I used to hate to run when I was younger. I was always the fastest on the team, and I saw no point in beating everybody on the team. I knew I was the fastest. When you get to college, that's a different deal. Anytime if you're late for class, if you don't go to class, they get you up and they make you run the stadium stairs at Mountaineer Field. And trust me, you get a different perspective for how big that stadium is when you're touching every step. So what I started doing, I started running after practice. I would run the stadium after practice. So if I ever had to run, you know, and I did miss a class. I'm not going to sit here and fib on that. I made that part of me a strong point. So Coach Nealon would say, "Oh my goodness, don't make him run. He loves to run." You know, are you kidding me? Make him do push-ups or something. And then I made that my strong suit. Even to this day, I do 1,000 push-ups. I do 10 sets of 100 to this day to stay in shape.
Wow.
So that's something that my mother really, you know, make you, and it's very, very true in any phase of life. I mean, if you work on a weakness, sooner or later, yeah, it becomes just as strong as your greatest, strongest point. And that means you really have very few weaknesses at that point, if you tend to do that. Think about that. I mean, you will be successful in just about anything that you come up against, because really you have very few weaknesses. So I use that, I subscribe to that to this day. And the same, I tell my son the same thing. Learn to make your weakness your strongest, one of your strong points. Doesn't have to be your strongest point, but take something that's weak and work on it, build on it. You get better at it.